What is up, everyone? Welcome to L2R2 PlayStation Podcast. My name's Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev, and my UK bruv from another mum, Cal Monroe. Cal, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's past our anniversary now, so
Yeah.
we've got our hangover from that. But yeah, no, I'm good.
Now, you didn't get me anything for our anniversary, so I'm a little bit upset about that.
I got you this. I got you this for myself.
Yeah, it's dope. So you're wearing the Plastic Hearts hoodie. That's awesome. Yeah, so I want to
Mm.
keep creating more of those and keep doing
Mm.
it. But yeah, luckily
Yeah,
there's
there's some
this.
really cool designs on there as well. I didn't realize how many you'd done, and yeah, there are some really nice things on there.
Well, I've had a lot of time during this lockdown to just do nothing and try and make use of the
Yeah,
time. But yeah.
yeah.
How goes your week? Anything crazy going on? Any cool media been ingesting besides the games we've been playing?
I've been watching. Well, The Expanse finished,
Oh,
which is just like if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. It is just incredible. Best thing on television by a million miles. It is just incredible. And yeah, that was series 6 that just wrapped up. Um, and yeah, it's awesome. Unfortunately, there was a cast member who had to leave, and they kind of because of some sexual abuse things, and
oh,
so they had to like cut out his character in like a, but you could tell it was done like after the series. That was kind of noticeable. But yeah, I mean, there is honestly just immaculate. It's such a good watch. Definitely recommend that. And I've been watching a lot of Demon Slayer on Netflix as well, which is an anime that's just come there, and that's really great as well. So yeah, so I've been watching them, and yeah, playing a good array of games, I think.
nice. You know what? As you mentioned, The Expanse, I know people keep talking about that. My buddy Gavin is huge into it. I was watching a lot of WandaVision over the week, and the
Mm.
new episode just came out. Man, it's getting good. I know you're talking some shit before, but this show is getting so good. There was that slow kind of build, but now this crazy stuff is happening that's connecting the like real world effects on the MCU, and it's just
Mhm.
super dope. And I love the show, man. You know what that reminds me of? I always kept forgetting to bring it up, but um, I just am reminded of you with spoilers now because what a month ago with the Mandalorian having their season finale, I was super excited to watch the show, watch the final episode, and I happened to go on Twitter, and you posted this tweet that basically showed off what was going on, and man, I tried to like
Oh no,
erase it from my brain, and
I'm so sorry.
it is what it is. I'll always hate you for it, but that's it's just something I'll never forget. But going into
Oh,
the
I'm very
WandaVision
sorry.
one, there's that same stuff on
Yeah.
Twitter where people were posting about something nuts going on. Luckily, everyone was pretty, withholding of the spoiler stuff, but you never know when you go on Twitter.
Mm.
And so
Yeah,
luckily I wasn't super spoiled, but yeah, that there's an ending
yeah,
that's pretty nuts in this latest episode.
yeah, yeah. No, I didn't realize that about Mandalorian. I think the thing with Mandalorian is in my defense is because I didn't watch it. I never knew how old like the episode was because
Mm,
it's my dad that watches it, so I'll sort of come into the house and he'll be sat down watching it, and I would never have thought my dad to be caught up like watching it on the day. So when I saw it, I thought, oh, this must have been out for like a week or two.
yeah.
And then yeah, so yeah, I apologize about that. I wouldn't have wished to have done that to you, but uh, things are, what is it? He says in all the rings, things are now done that cannot be stopped or something like that. But
Sure. Something like
something
that.
not at all like that.
Well, Callum, we've been having a week, spoiler free, playing some games. So let's jump into some of the stuff you're playing. So I know you reviewed Destruction All Stars. I played a little bit of as well. Give me kind of your general gist of your thoughts, and I want to kind of bounce off of that and talk to you about it.
It's a weird one because I find it actually quite hard to. I've found writing the review quite hard to write just because there wasn't really a lot to say or talk about. It's just it is what it is. It's fun that you crash into people. It's got the dual sense stuff, and but there's just nothing to it. It just feels like such a dead end game, like straight away, because there's no. I mean, there's barely any maps that look any different. The characters are pretty varied and everything, but yeah, just I don't know. Just literally after like the second game, I thought, well, that's me experienced everything this game has to offer now. Um, and but I mean, obviously I carried on playing. I did enjoy every game I played. It's just there's just not much to it. It's just very mediocre and middling. And yeah, I just do think it's one of those games just hard to really talk about because there's not really anything massively awful or massively amazing about it. Although I don't like how the campaign is behind a paywall. I think that's pretty weird. But other than that, it's just a standard game.
I didn't realize the issues with the campaign. I jumped into mainly the multiplayer and tried a couple matches of what the four different variations that they offer
Yeah.
at launch, and I thought it was fun. It's cool. I don't know how much I'll keep playing of it, but I like the idea of this, roller derby or destruction derby kind of thing going on.
Mhm.
The ability to move out of your car is unique. There's a lot of vibes of, say, like a Fortnite or something where it's pretty wacky and very colorful. I thought the visuals were really dope on PS5. I think it looks really amazing. But yeah, I mean, I guess I share some of that same stuff where maybe not a whole lot to write home about, but I could see the whole, um, just gaming community jump into this where they can pick it apart and really explore all the different aspects of the combat, get really good at it. I'm sure in a week everyone's going to
Mm,
be pros at this and it's going to be hard to jump back in. But
mm.
I did enjoy it. It just I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan for this type of gameplay, but I do like Rocket League, but it's just not that same kind of
Mm.
feel. I would have liked, so the world kind of cuts off after like the first half, like as you can go up those like curvy sides of the wall. I would
Yeah.
have loved, and maybe they can do this in the future, like just kind of make a dome where you can keep driving very much like Rocket League and just kind of keep driving around and just make it even more insane. But yeah, I thought it was cool. What'd you think about the? There's been some drama with the voice chat issue where it's just always on from the start.
Yeah, I think it's a really strange choice. Well, I think it would be better if you could just mute people. Just have a button that's really easy to press, like literally just say like press square to mute everyone. It's a really simple idea. So I have no idea why, because it was annoying to hear, lots
Yeah.
of little kids and cringy people just shouting abuse. And I think the accolade system seems to work okay. I think it's a pretty good idea, but I just find the whole like user experience after a map really like janky. Like the hold down buttons, and even then they don't feel like they're actually doing anything. And I think it does need. And I think this ties in with my other main criticism of it, which is just the general like multiplayer progression. Like I think everything just like the meta experience when you're not in a game is just really bare and just has nothing to it. So, for example, when you level up, you've got your experience bar and everything, but when you level up once or twice, you realize that you just get the exact same reward for every single level. You just get 1,000 of the in-game currency. Um, and that doesn't go up if you get a higher level. You don't unlock anything for getting to a high level. You just get currency to spend on really, really expensive skins for like the millions of characters there are in that game as well. So yeah, it's got like a really troublingly bad progress like multiplayer sort of social system in terms of like you leveling up, having a rank and all this. And I think that ties into what I mean when I played my first two games, I thought there's nothing hooking me in if I don't want to play another game to maybe get to level three because level three is going to get me nothing. So yeah, I think that's sort of where most of the issues lie. But yeah, like you said, it's hard not to have fun when you're actually playing it. So you've got to give it that.
Yeah, it's interesting with that leveling up thing. I would have liked maybe more, and I think that's tied to it. The cosmetic stuff with your character. There's already so many characters though. It's like you can easily just switch to a different character, and that's almost feeling that
Mm,
void
yeah.
of wanting to level up or change your character in general. Maybe with the
Mm,
cars, like with your startup car, there can be more of a progression system through there. I did
mhm.
like there was a game mode that I was having fun with, although it was frustrating. Was it's very much like Fall Guys, where the world will fall around you, and you
Yeah.
just easily go into those. I was digging that. Maybe I do enjoy like the movement outside of the car. I think it
Mm,
could be improved, but they're really trying something interesting with allowing you to just like parkour and keep the action going. I did
mhm.
enjoy that. I would have maybe loved some more of like a shooting mechanic. It turns into a different game, but like sort of like a twisted metal kind of thing where maybe that would be a bit more enjoyable. But I think overall I was positive. I just don't know how much I'll keep playing at this game.
Yeah, yeah, and the on the foot thing, I agree. I think it was really good, and there were times where I don't know if you felt the same. It might just be me being really bad at the game, but where I felt I was really far away from any cars, and then when I'd get to one, somebody else would nick it, and that's when it starts to slow down the pace, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not getting any points here 'cause I'm not in a car." And but I think it was really effective how when you do finally get in the car and your car sort of like transforms its livery into your custom thing and it shoots you off the podium. I think the more frustrated you get, the longer you spend trying to get a car. When you finally do, and that animation happens and that sort of sequence happens, I think it's so just exciting and great. It reminds me of in like Power Rangers when like they were getting beaten up and then they like do the morphing time thing, and I just thought it was like it was just pretty cool. I did like that bit.
Yeah, that is, you're right, where it's satisfying by letting you almost kind of rev up and then take off, when you shoot off of that little platform. Callum, we just got a follow from on Twitch from Bush League Gaming. I just wanted to give a shout out to them. But yeah, do you think you'll spend any more time with Destruction All Stars? Maybe wait for an update.
Probably not, to be honest. I've got no reason to play it. I was thinking of checking the trophy list because I think people have been saying the trophies are actually quite fun to go for. And I think people are actually using them as the game's like objective or progression system, which wasn't in the game in the first place. So I might have a look at them and see. But there's just so many games I want to play right now, and this just doesn't even come close to making me want to play it over any others.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I did spend some time just like you playing Destruction All Stars. I also jumped into the other free PlayStation Plus game of the month, which is Control. I don't know if you've jumped into it yet, but I'm having a blast going through with the 4K 60 frame per second mode. I think it's just a gorgeous game. And yeah, this is maybe the fourth time I'm playing through this game, but I'm really digging it. I think the visuals are enough to of a reason to go back and play this game for sure because it's just on another level. I know they have the ray tracing setting, but it's tied to like the 30 frames. And for some reason, as I keep going with these optional, modes with these games, I end up leaning towards the performance, like 60 frames. I just have just a better time playing through it. It's more fluid. It just feels that much better. And then their baked in
Mm,
reflections are so good where it almost, it's not the end of the world if you don't have it on, but you have the
yeah.
the higher frame rate going. But are you yet to jump into the control world?
Yeah, I so as you know, because you've been on at me a lot before to get it. This has sort of been that moment I've been waiting for. I think. I mean, it's. I think we mentioned it last week. It's an amazing giveaway to have, and especially considering the Ultimate Edition is brand new with all the enhancements. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna jump into it, but I'm just trying to I'm waiting till I have room for it because I do really want to make sure I really concentrate on it, and I want to probably go for the platinum trophy. So I need to put some time aside for it. But yeah, I'm really excited to play it. I'll probably go for the ray tracing my first playthrough, which is what I did with Spider Man as well, just because I don't mind 30 FPS in a third person game if I'm not going from 60 to 30. So as long as I play the 30 FPS mode first without seeing the 60 FPS mode, I'll be fine. And then maybe I'll
Mm.
switch to 60 FPS mode after I beat it and go through it again for the trophies. So, um, yeah, I'll probably go for ray tracing just to see what it's like and maybe switch halfway through or something.
I'm hoping that with Insomniac, they really nailed that third option. So it was kind of a new mode they added with Miles, and when they launched, they had the 30 frames per second with the ray tracing. They had the 60 frame mode without ray tracing, but then they eventually, which was 1080p, I want to say, or 1440p. But they added a third option where it was 1080p, 60 frames, and then ray tracing as well. I would love them to do that with Control. I don't necessarily need 4K. This game is already gorgeous. So if I can get 1080p, 60 frames, and some ray tracing, then we're all set. So I'm hoping that they kind of explore that as a third option. And even just in general, as we go forward with these different modes, also adding that as as another option.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have more accessibility for the different resolutions, and it would be nice for 1440p to one day be included as well because I think it's a shame. I know that they're not the market sort of share, so I understand the reasoning, but it's still it's a way to get more people might buy 1440p monitors if PS5 started supporting it because then you might see a cheaper way to get better resolution, and also you'll be able to have the advantage, like you're saying, more frames, maybe ray tracing included in as well, because 1440p and 4K, there really isn't a huge amount in it. So it would be nice to have, more options.
Yeah, here's hoping. But either way, this game is gorgeous. It's super fun. It's a blast to play. They added these modes or options you can toggle within an update late last year where you can adjust the difficulty a little bit, because that was one issue I had in the game where it gets pretty tough, and the ability to like respawn your ammo because there's no reloading, so it just kind of naturally respawns. You can reduce that time. You can also adjust the health for the enemies or yourself, the regenerating health. So it makes it a bit more fun to play through because there's some brutally tough points at the end, and this just makes it where if it's your second, third playthrough, it's way easier to jump in. And so I love that that's
Yeah.
just unlocked from the get go, and it doesn't affect your trophies or anything. But yeah,
Mm.
I'm hoping to one of these days when you actually set enough time to jump into Control, because I think you'll love it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Now, I did jump into briefly some God of War. So they had that free update this week where it was the PS5 update giving you 60 frames per second mode, and it's in like checkerboard 4K. And man, this game is gorgeous already, but with that 60 frame mode and the adjustments to the resolution, it's just that much more insanely gorgeous. And I just played a little bit of one of my old saves, but I am tempted to go back and like fully play through this game because it was just such a beautiful and awesome game. The gameplay or the combat was just so tight and fun. I really loved the stringing the combos and how brutally tough it gets towards the end with those special characters. I forget what they're called. They're not Sphinx. They're like the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie are so
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
But are you tempted to jump back and play any more of God of War 2018?
Yeah, I never platinumed it, so it's still one that I'd like to go back to, especially with the new performance mode things. But you never know. We need another series for the PlayStation Book Club after we do Killzone, so
True,
God of War could be that.
it could
We'll
be.
have to see what the council says,
Yeah,
the chancellors.
we'll run it up the flagpole and see what happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm stoked for it. That's one thing I find interesting is that in this generation, the beginning of this new generation, the big takeaway is like giving really revitalizing these old properties, not really old, but all this stuff from last gen where I'm fine with if this year has a drought, I'm actually okay with it because we have
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima had this really dope PS5 upgrade. You have now Control, you have God of War, I imagine The Last of Us, like all if they can just kind of go back to these properties and give them some more life. And when you play them on current gen consoles, they're just it's just those small tweaks, but it makes a world of difference where it's actually a blast to go back and play them. So I'm fine if they just kind of lean into this a little bit, give those other developers more time because a lot of stuff is getting delayed anyway. So I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and um, there's so many games that for me and you, and we play a lot of games. There's so many games that slip through our fingers, or we don't finish. So it must be the case for everybody else. And like I said, but I know for me, I'm definitely in an upper bracket of amount of games I play. I don't play multiplayer games or anything like that. I like to play through lots of games, and even I miss hundreds all the time. So. Uh, Everyone's got a backlog, and the longer between games is great for everyone, surely.
Yeah, I'm very stoked to have a reason to go back into these games that I should have been playing, but now I have even more of a reason to be playing them.
Mm.
But Callum, along with that, we've been spending this week playing our PlayStation Book Club game of the week, which is Killzone 3. But first off, for Killzone
Mm.
3, I want to get your overall take on your experience playing Killzone.
So I've got quite a bit to say. I wrote down sort of some things for the first time to try and sort of help me structure sort of my ramblings. But um, it was mostly negative, to be honest. I didn't really like it
Whoa.
very much. I thought the gameplay was great, the best yet out of the first three. The guns are great. There's some really fun guns as well, especially towards the end. Um, but, other than that, like story, just general combat, encounters, the set pieces, I just thought were all really poor. And yeah, I just didn't I thought Killzone 2 was far, far better. And I think Killzone 3 perhaps in hindsight, looking at it now, maybe sort of blended in with all the games like that at the time. But looking at it now, it's just so it's just on such a inferior level of quality to sort of other shooter game stories and sort of level design and everything. I was very disappointed with it, to be honest.
Dang. So I had a very different feeling on it. I loved it overall. Was very impressed by the variation in the levels and the environments. That was an issue I had with Killzone 2. That engine that they upgraded or built from the ground up for PlayStation 3 was so beautiful, but they were kind of locked into these
Mm.
just
Yeah.
environments that looked very much the same. And for Killzone 3, they really upped their game with the color. I thought the color popped so well and really gave some life to this world. You have the different areas you're going into. There's snowy worlds
Mhm.
towards the end. You have the let's see, the kind of not sandbox, the almost like a junkyard towards the end. You have the
Yeah.
Helgen city, but the Helgen is that destroyed Helgen city doesn't look the same like Killzone 3. It's a bit more colorful, has
Yeah.
that pop. You also go into this weird marshy kind of area with Helgen fauna and flora, which is really dope. I love the gunplay rather. I was also impressed by the story. I think I'd liked the story more this time around from Killzone 2. The way they built or dug into the Helgen kind of interpersonal, dilemma that's going on with
Mhm.
their various
Yeah.
leaders. Let's start to pick apart stuff in chunks. So, as far as the story goes, what were your thoughts on that?
So I thought the story was probably on par with Killzone 2 because I don't think Killzone 2 stories particularly, groundbreaking or anything. But I agree. I loved the insight into the Helghast Council sort of characters. It was really cool to see the enemy's plans and their sort of interpersonal fighting, and I thought that was actually really really good. But yeah, I just think it was quite. The story reminded me of like a Fast and Furious film where it's just a bunch of set pieces, like really exciting moments that just don't even really make sense. Like there'd be a time where I can't remember now, but something would happen, like a cutscene, and then suddenly you'd be driving in some weird buggy, and it
Yeah,
doesn't even show like where the like. And I'm not saying you need to see them get in the bug, but it doesn't like tell you that's going to happen, or you're just constantly thrown into these like Hollywood uh, Call of Duty set pieces just all the time, and I can't remember who I've heard it from, but it's like when something is always exciting, it's never exciting because it's just constantly trying to like wow you, and it just grated on me really badly. Mostly towards the end, I enjoyed the first half much more than the second half, but towards the end, I was just like, it was just funny how nonsensical everything got, and it was just like it was almost like they had all these like really cool scenes, and then they just didn't put any effort in like tying them together and making them make sense going from point A to B. Like you said, the junkyard, like it looked great, and the game does look really nice and plays really well. But like when you're at the junkyard, it's just a junkyard. Like there's no, it don't, there's just nothing. There needs to be more like environment sort of. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I just felt like it was just like a museum of just explosions and big mounted machine guns, and it just didn't have any atmosphere, which I think Killzone 2 did, and I think Killzone 1 did. It just felt very generic, and yeah, it just didn't feel unique like the other two did, in my opinion.
I see. I mean, I don't feel that way, but I see what you're saying. As far as going back to story a bit, they do kind of start off the game referencing Rico. So I know we had the same issues with
Mhm.
Rico, where in that game in general, he's just bombastic and not listening to anyone
Yeah.
and making these decisions that have repercussions within the story. But I did really like how they kick off Killzone 3 with that newer character, that newer sergeant that I'm blanking on his name, Narvel,
Marvel.
Captain Narvel,
Yeah.
how he's basically, tearing Rico a new asshole, saying it's like, I should reprimand you right now. You made all
Mhm.
these shitty decisions, and now we have to deal with it. I liked his introduction, Narvel, to just kind of keep Rico,
Mhm.
just at bay and really have to enforce that he
Yeah.
has to listen to this upper management or upper, captain beyond his rank. But I did like that. And then Rico does seem to understand it's like, oh man, I messed up. Like he's at least
Mm,
processing that. You get a little bit more of that. I really dug the Helgen, interpersonal stuff. As far as like even separating you from the story where you're just jumping into their conflict and what's going on. Also, that newer character that I'm Stahl, the new character Stahl is.
yeah.
I thought he was really cool. I love that performance.
Mm,
He's crazy and he can kind of just you never know what he's gonna do. Like he's almost
yeah.
a Joker-esque kind of character. But
Mhm,
yeah, no, I had a lot of positive feelings with the story. Some of the cutscenes, like you said, are really out there, Call of Duty style, Transformer style. Where it's just they're almost just explosions on top of explosions and just really trying to be as outlandish as they can be. But I think that's
mhm.
the outside influence of Call of Duty at that time as well. But
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
you would say that you preferred some of the other Killzone stories compared to this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Killzone 1 definitely has the best story, just because it has, I feel like it's very character driven, the first Killzone, so obviously you have the 4 different characters. They it really focuses on what they say to each other. Even when you're playing the game, they're always talking to each other, and there's very like complicated relationships between them as well. But and then Killzone 2 is I think Killzone 2 and 3 are probably on par. I think 3 maybe edges it in some ways with the villains and the Helgar stuff, but I didn't find 2 like difficult to sit through like I did with 3 at times. Like I found some of the dialogue in 3 and the just general scenes just very difficult to watch in like a cringy way. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it is definitely the influence of the games around it at the time, and um, yeah, I just don't like I don't like the good characters. I like the Helgen characters. I don't like Sev. I don't think he's a very good character. Um, I think Rico is better just because he sort of is a bit more of a person you can like. And Narville is just the, the every single military cap general
Yeah,
in every single thing. Um, so yeah, I mean, the story. Yeah, for me, it was more the just constant barrage of uh, you're flying some ship with a million machine guns on it. Because I mean, in Killzone 2, you had so many parts where you're going through like really claustrophobic apartments and like the desert, and there's lots of downtime and quiet bits where the characters can talk and you learn a bit about the world around you and about the places you're going to. Whereas Killzone 3, there was just no time for any storytelling to happen because you're constantly rushing through on jetpacks and things like that, and it was just too much of it for me, and it just made it drag out sort of towards the end because I'd already peaked at the Killzone 2 ending. Excitement happened at the very beginning, so there was just no, like you said, you knew when Killzone 2 was going to end because of how much it ramped up the excitement and the
right.
drama. Killzone 3, you didn't. I was wishing for the end towards the end because I was just like, surely that's the last thing, that big explosion, that big battle we just had. Surely, like that's it, and then there would just be something else. And as we'll probably get onto, the ending is very underwhelming anyway. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in the ending. I have some thoughts on that too. But you mentioned not getting much of a time to breathe with the gameplay where it's just one set piece after the other. It's very just balls to the wall the whole time. But let's segue into some of the gameplay. So there is a moment, I want to say it's like the second legitimate level where they do switch things up and give you like a stealth kind of progression when you're going through that first Helgen kind of marshy world with the different animals and stuff that's growing and that can explode. You have
Mm,
and it seems like that SMG that Luger used to have in the first game, you have that kind of
yeah.
silencer, and you're made or really encouraged to go through stealthily because if you don't, those capture troopers come in and just like
Mm.
take you out. How'd you feel about that level, that stealth level?
So I quite liked it. I thought at first I sort of died a couple of times just because um, I didn't realize how long you have to wait sometimes for like things to leave and all that. So, but yeah, I quite liked it. I thought it was in terms of how stealth sections are lined up, it was it was fairly ordinary. It was easy for me to do, and I'm awful at stealth games. Um, but yeah, I quite liked it, and I think like you said, I think those slower bits and then the second half of the level's very difficult. It's like you're on your own. I felt I died so many times on that bit. So I actually really liked that level. I thought it had a good balance because the first half of it, you're trying to figure out what's going on. Is that it's actually really interesting as well, what's going on story wise at that point. So yeah, I actually really loved that whole section, including the more quiet, stealthy part, and the really difficult sort of stretch as you're trying to return. I thought that was really great. But yeah, I just don't think the rest of the game is like that, and I don't know whether you agree or not.
Well, see, I enjoyed the mix up of the gameplay. So this level in general that we're talking about, it does slow things down and then it kind of ramps up again
Mm.
when everyone shows up and you have to kind of fend everyone off and then you're captured. I dug that a lot. I enjoyed the kind of fear that you would get when those capture troopers are running towards you with their knife arm, and it's
Yeah,
like they're just so badass. Where it's like, I don't know if I can take them.
yeah,
Eventually, you can melee them, you can just empty a clip, and then they're pretty much done. But I really enjoyed
yeah.
the switch up of the gameplay
Mm.
early on with this part. I know they do throw in the mech suits again. There's the driving sequences. They are trying to switch it up. It does lean more towards the action side, but they are switching up the gameplay as you progress through it. So I
Mm.
ended up more positive on that switch up of gameplay. For me, actually, I maybe didn't like the stealth area as much as you did because of dying so much and not realizing, okay, I have to go on this path that they're showing me. I have to
Mm.
wait. I have to be stealthy. And I just had this
Yeah.
because of the previous kill zones. You're just always running at the wall the whole time. I was kind
Mhm.
of used to that same vibe, but they really make you kind of pull back and tackle it a different way. So I did,
Yeah.
looking back, I enjoyed that switch up, but at the time I was just super frustrated with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Uh, I think when I got to that point, and after I did the second half of that mission, um, I was like, "This is really." I was really enjoying it, and there was. I'm trying to think of the point. It was probably after Narvel gets captured, and you reunite with Rico. I think that's where the game just takes a massive nosedive. I was really enjoying it up until that point, and then I think that was when it starts to just go completely like 0 to 100, sort of everything's action all the time, from then. Um, but yeah, yeah, it's I mean, I don't know whether you wanna go on to difficulty now, but, I found that you did die so fast, and that's obviously because they were trying to do co-op, which I think at the time was another big thing. And I think that really ruins a lot of the moments as well because you die so quickly. Like, I mean, it's the same. It feels like Call of Duty Veteran. I thought, but if you're face to face with a enemy, they will kill you much quicker than you'll kill them. Um, and obviously, it's to incorporate reviving so that your AI companion can revive you, or if you're playing with someone, they can revive you. But I didn't think the friendly AI is very good, so he kept going down, so I had to then try and revive him, and
Yep.
he would say he couldn't get to me even though there's, like, 1 enemy left and he's not even shooting, and, um, yeah, I thought that emphasis on co-op was just really odd and just really ruined it in a lot of ways, and I think that might be why it was so set piece orientated as well, because co-op bits are always more fun when it's action and, like, just quick. I mean, the best co-op games are the ones where you sit down, play for half an hour, and it was exciting the whole time, and I think that might translate as to why Killzone 3 is how it is as well. But yeah, it did annoy me quite a lot because you could tell they've really ramped up how quick it is for you to die so that it's more fun, especially with some of the weapons towards the end of the games that just will one hit you with nothing you can do about it. Yeah, I thought that got quite frustrating quite quick.
Yeah, no, I share exactly what you mean with the matching that difficulty and them intending on it to be for co-op, and that there's a really obvious focus there with the reviving. And
Mm.
yeah, I experienced the same thing with the AI not knowing or not being able to revive me in time, or getting shot as they're trying to. Sometimes they did, but I was mainly
Mm.
reviving them most of the time. Or there's levels where you're alone
Yeah,
and it's just up to you. But
yeah,
the at least some of the save points were basically forgiving. I wasn't having to replay a bunch of stuff over and over again. There was a point,
mhm,
and we'll talk about it as well, where the jetpacks are introduced. Once you have to fight those enemies, I was just dying over and over and over again.
yeah,
But I did enjoy
yeah,
that jetpack sequence, or that ability, but it's very short lived. I mean, they introduce it and then it basically never comes into play again. You're just fighting those
yeah.
enemies throughout the game. But how did you feel about this jetpack introduction?
So it's pretty easy to not see because I only noticed at the very very end of the game that when you kill a jetpack guy, you can sometimes pick your jetpack up as well.
Oh, really?
And I like the gun. The gun's great, but it removes your ability to crouch and to take cover and replaces it with going up, which I just don't understand because you don't get extra health with it. You just get a big MG, and now you're a much bigger target, and you can no longer take cover. And remember, it's like it's used like a weapon, isn't it? It's sort of you
Right.
switch to it, so you can switch away from it and that. But it takes away your ability to crouch and take cover. Um, you die just as quick when you're wearing it. You don't get any extra protection. The gun's good, but it's not like an instant killer. It's sort of a fires a lot of bullets, and so yeah, I thought it was fun. Like it was fun being in it, and the design's awesome as well. But I thought, yeah, it was just really like a lot of things, which we'll probably get into as well. I thought it was very lazily balanced and designed, and but it is cool and it works, as a jetpack should and all of that. But yeah, I think maybe there should have been something to counter the fact that it takes away your cover, not making you a bigger target instead.
Yeah, this one reminds me or makes me think that it was mainly focused on for multiplayer, and they thought let's introduce
Mm,
it somehow into single player, and it's kind of short lived. I didn't realize that because they basically explode when you shoot them. I didn't realize that they
yeah,
leave the leftover bits where you can actually jump back into
yeah,
the jetpack. But yeah, this made me think it's really for multiplayer. Let's somehow figure out a way to get into single player, and I have it on the box art that you can there's jetpacks in there.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
thought it was cool. But yeah, it was just I would have liked to the ability to use it a bit more. But really, the other levels are structured in a way where they don't plan on you traversing up in that direction. So it's like they have to rework the levels to always have that jetpack
Mhm.
available. But well, that was my initial thought. But apparently, you can still jump into the jetpacks later on. So maybe that's not the case. But I did enjoy that. Um, as far as other gameplay components that they introduce, they do kind of build upon the combat or the melee system rather. So you can string together melee combos. I never really did that, but how did you feel about just the improvements on really it's like a button press for getting those quick melee kills?
So I did like the melee in it, especially when those guys run at you. I didn't know you could chain them up because normally by the time I've seen someone for 3 seconds, I'm lying on the floor dead. Um, but I liked it. I actually really liked the melee in Killzone 2, and I remember loving it when it first came out because it was kind of like you hit up once, and then if you keep pressing it, it would just keep doing that with his gun. And I thought that was really cool. And even today, like it's very sophisticated, like it's a very sophisticated sort of sequence that you're in control of to lift the gun up and then sort of keep doing that. So I like that melee as well. But yeah, it was an interesting take. I think it's again because you had like Battlefield who had the animations of the knifing, and I think that become more of a thing. Um, but yeah, no, it was fun. But yeah, I didn't know you could link melee. I can't imagine when that would be handy, but
Yeah, it's
no, it's pretty
described
cool.
in the information I've been reading about it, but I wasn't able to actually do it. So I don't know how hard it is to actually do, but or they have to be in close proximity. But apparently you can chain multiple enemies by doing that. But I just
Okay.
never was able to pull
Yeah.
it off.
Yeah, that's yeah, I didn't see that. There was the one thing that stuck out to me, I don't know if you noticed it, but because Killzone 2 and the first Killzone as well, it forces you to pick up guns all the time because you're always running out of ammo, and it's always it gives it that urban warfare kind of feel that the first two have, where you're out of ammo, so you have to pick up whatever's closest. You end up picking a shotgun, and then you have to fight in a certain way because you have the shotgun now. And I really liked that. It gave like each combat encounter like a bit of something, a bit of uniqueness each time. But Killzone 3 for me just ruined that, and I didn't realize at first. The first sort of hour or two, I was playing it like Killzone 2, where I was like, "Oh, I've got no ammo. I need to pick up this gun." Until I realized that there is an ammo box literally every 5 meters that
Yeah.
not only replenishes your primary weapon, but your special weapon, your grenades, everything just by tapping circle is unlimited, and that just completely ruins for me. And this is my biggest negative about the game, but once I realized that, it just ruined the entire game because I just would get like the bolt gun or the arc rifle or these super overpowered guns. And where every single combat encounter starts, there's always an ammo box there with you. You're never not with one. So I'll just sit there with the most overpowered gun in the game, whether it's a rocket launcher or whatever, and have unlimited ammo on it, and just rain on all the Hellgast with whatever special weapon I have. And that can be seen in how the combat encounters are designed. Again, in Killzone 2, you have those like claustrophobic apartments where you have Hellgast hiding in rooms and that you never know if there's going to be one behind the corner. But in Killzone 3, it's just a alleyway or just a straight line. It's you've got like your side, they've got their side, and it's just keep trying to go take cover and shoot. And I just found and that sort of formula really kicked in towards the last half of the game, and that was where I was just like, this is so repetitive and yeah, it just became me using the bolt gun, one hitting every single enemy in the game because I had unlimited ammo, and I thought it was very lazy. Sort of again balancing, and I think that's apparent throughout the game. It is very lazy, and it is just trying to be this Michael Bay big blockbuster thing, and it's just completely stripping it of all the uniqueness and the fun that you could have in the other two. That, in my opinion, but yeah, I thought that the ammo boxes was just a completely ridiculous thing to do in the way they did it.
Yeah, I didn't have as much of a negative thought on that, but it was mainly because in Killzone 2, when you are running out of ammo, you are forced to pick up guns, which
Mm,
is a cool idea, but there was guns that I preferred, and so when I ran out of ammo,
yeah,
I just couldn't use it. So the main
yeah,
human assault rifle with the green kind of scope, I really dug that weapon, but I would
mm,
constantly run out of ammo. So I was super frustrated and have to pick up something else, or say like the very last battle in Killzone 2, there's LMGs everywhere. It's like they want you to use an
mm,
LMG, but I did not want to
yeah,
use one of those. They're just not very
yeah,
precise. And so with Killzone 3, I ended up liking the ammo boxes because I could choose to carry a weapon and always have ammo for that weapon. But you're right,
mm,
where it makes it almost easier because of that, because you can really, there's no repercussions for, you never run out of ammo. They're just literally, like you said, 5 meters away every time. So the
yeah,
baby mode gamer in my mind, it's like I enjoy that because it's like there's no
mm,
risk reward thing. I'm just always have the ammo ready, but then there isn't any struggle because of that. So it's go back and forth on that, but that was an
yeah,
interesting introduction. They really are going for this, this action heavy, bombastic version of Killzone to compete with the Call of Duties at that time. They do lose a lot of that uniqueness, that flavor from Killzone. And I've yet to really spend a lot of time with Shadowfall, but I wonder if that's them going back to their own character to
mhm,
focus on what makes it unique, or they also fall into the same tropes. But you definitely feel that with Killzone 3, where they're competing and they're trying to give other Call of Duty gamers or players what they want within the Killzone franchise. So I get
yeah,
that. I go back and forth where it's like I enjoy some of the things they've changed, but then you lose that heart of what made Killzone unique.
mhm,
So
yeah.
it's interesting. My dog just fell on the floor. She's wrapped in a blanket. She's an idiot.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have so much a problem if if they were maybe two use things or they only gave your primary weapon ammo. But the fact that it just fills up like anything you've used. So if I mean, you can only hold 3 grenades, and grenades are very overpowered. Then it fills up your grenades every time, and like I was saying towards the end, the bolt gun and the arc laser, I want to say, or something, the thing that shoots the green balls, which is an awesome weapon.
Right.
I mean that kind of gun is something that you save for a difficult enemy, and I was just sitting at the checkpoint area, just firing unlimited of those green balls, which just turns everyone into like puffs of blood, and it doesn't like default your weapons for a long, long time. So I had that weapon with unlimited ammo for quite a lot of the end near the end of the game, where it's supposed to be really difficult, and it just wasn't. And I just think it does seem very lazy in my opinion, and, where it has definitely improved in how it feels to play and how the game looks and on a technical level, but there doesn't seem to be much thought put into anything, and I think that's most apparent when you look at really small things like the jetpack that just has no redeeming qualities about it, or there's no time there's no weapon in that game that is in there because it serves a specific purpose or a combat encounter is designed around you using this weapon or anything like that. It's just kill the Hellgast and move on. I just thought it was a step backwards from the second game.
Yeah, I understand that. That is one thing that you lose is the heart of Killzone when you try to introduce all these popular mechanics that are gonna
Yeah.
fare well for sales, but you lose the heart of it. Let's transition to that ending. How did you feel about basically the last sequence? You have the zero gravity or the low gravity points in that space elevator, and then that ship battle, and then how they just basically pull the plug and the game ends towards the end. But how'd you feel?
I found it really confusing because I think just the way the game tells the story is just very confusing, uh, and I think that's why the Helghast bits stand out because they're not confusing. They're, like you said, the villains have performed really well. Um, they all sort of have really cool mannerisms. They have great dialogue bits, but when it comes to telling you as the player what you're meant to be doing right now, it's just a bunch of, "Oh, one more time, come on, if we've survived this, we'll survive the next thing," and they say that, like, literally 10 times. That's why I kept thinking the game was gonna end, because 'cause they're like, "Come on, we've done this, we've just gotta do this," and then it's like, "Oh, he's gonna well, first he was going to execute Narvel, then he's gonna blow up Earth, then there's a weird green thing," and it was just really I didn't really understand what was going on, to be honest, and that might be my fault, but yeah, and then it ends very abruptly. It just really quickly, and then it has the weird post-credit scene where it shows the shuttle and the Hellgas come over, and it just seemed very pretentious. Again, very Hollywood. It's trying to be like a movie. The way the credits come in, all special effects, it's just yeah, it's just very cringe and a very typical ending to a game like it.
Yeah, the literal ending, I found myself laughing out loud because you basically nuke the entire planet, and I think it's the main character, Shev or Svev, whatever his name is. He's like, "Oh God, how many people are on that planet?" And then it just ends. It's like, what the hell? What? And just fade to like not even fade
And
to
then we
black,
don't
cut
see
to
it
black.
again. There's no Shadowfall's not even a sequel to three either. It's just that's just it. That's it.
Yeah,
We
it's
still don't
just
know to this day.
interesting, yeah, because I mean, there is that cutscene where they're back on that planet, and there's at least two Helgen guys who find that ship
Yeah,
that's probably stalling there, but they just ended.
yeah.
It's just like almost like they didn't have time or didn't know how to actually provide some kind of ending that was satisfying. Killzone 2, I loved how they ended that with that
Mhm.
incoming ships, and you had that big battle that felt satisfying when you complete it. And I just felt like it was a great build up. And I understand, or maybe they didn't realize, where they're going to take it after 3, but to end it that way was just so weird.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it definitely stuck out more because it was the end, and like you said, it's so funny, the line that he says before it ends as well. It is just accidental, like, comedy.
Yeah,
But I found there was so many times like that throughout the game. Like when that big robot with 4 legs, I quite like the actual boss fight, but
I did too.
that just appears out of nowhere, and it's just like, "Oh, now we gotta fight this," and you were going onto style shit, but then you end up going on some weird junkyard train factory thing. It just
Yeah,
jumps all over the place, and to me, the last like 3 or 4 hours of the game, it might not have actually been long. The last that I'm talking about, but from when you bust Narvel out is just, I think the whole game's funny from the point on, and the ending was just the perfect punchline for me. But I did enjoy the game up until that. It was after that I sort of started to really see the bad things.
yeah, and I think to kind of close it up, I do absolutely hear what you're saying with losing some of the heart of Killzone with them chasing these mechanics that are popular at that time. I ended up enjoying the gameplay, and just kind of being numb to the fact that they are losing those things that made Killzone
Mm,
special. But I also was on the other spectrum playing this whole series where I wasn't a big fan of Killzone 1. Killzone 2 I was getting way more into, and then Killzone 3 I just enjoyed that gameplay more. But I think because I turned my brain off and just wasn't really registering what made those first games special, and so what they provided with 3 was fun, was fast, and energetic. But yeah, at the end of the day, is it more unique? Does it stand out? Maybe not. I think the first one honestly
Mm,
has takes a lot more chances. Is while I was kind of mixed on it, it is the most unique out of all of them. I was thinking back as well. It's ironically the first Killzone has way more level variance than all of them. Like even though you start off in that super brown gray
mm,
world in the beginning, all the other levels like really change it up. And I don't think Killzone 2 or Killzone 3
yeah,
ever hit those highs as they did with Killzone
yeah,
1, or even changing the characters. Like you basically follow the same character.
yeah.
The way Killzone 1, gave you 4 different options and ability to play through it or incentive to play through it. That was really special. And then they kind of started to throw that out the window as the series got bigger and bigger. But
Mm.
yeah, overall, I did enjoy it. It was just, but I understand where you're coming from with those issues with Killzone 3.
Yeah, and I think I do honestly think that Killzone One is the best out of the three, and I think you put it well there, where it doesn't play well. I mean, it's a very old game. The gunplay is very boring at times, and just really, really dated and old, and just not nice. So obviously, any game from the PS3 era is going to feel better than Killzone One. But in terms of its story, its levels, I mean, it's a long campaign as well. It's about 11 hours or so long. Um, is the story? Yeah, the story, the characters, everything about Killzone One is so much better than the other two, the two and three. But yeah, it's just very old to play now. So that's obviously a big, big part of it. And it's like with me with Final Fantasy VII, the original one. I know that that game is probably better than the Final Fantasies that I think is better, but it's just aged so much worse that I can't play it. I can't enjoy it. So I think it's a similar thing there. But yeah, I think the first Killzone is massively underrated because it is a really, really impressive game in quite a lot of ways. But it really got uh, overlooked, I think, because at the time, obviously, you had Half-Life 2, Halo 2. It came out at
Yep.
a very bad time. But yeah, I think I'm really glad that we played the first three because before I used to, talk about Killzone 2, and I still think Killzone 2 is a great game, but I would have never have thought of how much I enjoyed Killzone 1.
I think for sure, I would really hope that Sony is focusing on a remaster of Killzone 1 because that's the one that I think deserves it out of all these. You could still
Mm,
play the 2 and 3, they hold up. But as far as the one that deserves it, the chances that Killzone 1 took, if you could just improve the engine and some of just the gunplay and the small quality of life stuff, that one would really stand
yeah,
out. And
just reboot the whole thing. Just give
really,
it
yeah,
nice graphics and everything. Give it a proper, like they did with Resident Evil. Just a completely new, but the same characters and similar sort of setting, and then just start the series again. Because I mean, I didn't realize, I definitely didn't realize how what Killzone 3 was like. I didn't know it was like that. I couldn't remember it very, very well. And but yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to play Shadowfall because from what I remember of Shadowfall, it's just brilliant, and that easily has the best story out of them all. And I mean, it still looks like amazing now. It still did when the PS4 finished, like as one of the first games on there. It still looked amazing. So I'm looking forward to moving on to that one as well.
yep, same here. It's nice to be at this point having these 3 under my belt. They've always escaped me, so it's really cool to just have this experience and play them. And yeah, I'm stoked to play Killzone 4 and get some takes now after all these 3 to see what they threw out the window, what they improved on, and on
Yeah.
PS4 hardware.
Saying that as well, that Shadowfall is not actually the newest Killzone game. It is Killzone Mercenary on PlayStation Vita, which is
You're right
actually
about
a
that.
really great game. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching some. That reminds me, I was watching some footage on that one, and there's a lot more. Seems like they focus on stealth quite a bit in some of those levels.
Mm,
I know that people really looked fondly on Killzone
mm.
Mercenaries on Vita, so I think you can play that through PS now. I'm assuming.
I'm not sure. I've got it on Vita.
I
So I
don't
was
have a
thinking
Vita.
of giving it a go. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if you could. Yeah, you might be able to get it on PlayStation now. I'm not sure. Or what was that PlayStation TV? Whatever that
Oh, sure. Yeah.
object was. Yeah.
They're probably like $5, so they give them to you for free in a
Yeah.
cereal box now. All right, Cam, we'll end our book club talk for the week. Now we got we're going long in the tooth, but we got a bunch of video game news we can go into. So we got the first one here is for, I know it's very special to you. We got the Mass Effect Legendary Edition 4K Remaster coming May 14th. Just some news on the improvements that they're doing for the next Mass Effect Remaster. So this is from Katie Cox of Ars Technica. The long-awaited Mass Effect Legendary Edition bundle will be available for Xbox and PlayStation consoles on PC on May 14th. The Legendary Edition includes all 3 Mass Effect games, as well as all their single-player DLC content. In addition to 4K support, HDR compatibility, and 60 frames per second on PS4, PS5, the Legendary Edition includes remastered character models and improved textures. EA said as well as improvements to shaders, VFX, lighting, shadows, depth of field, and other visual elements. Pre-rendered cinematic scenes have also been upgraded, and controller support has been added to the PC edition. Callum, I know you are super excited for this. We got some footage on what this looks like. How do you feel about finally seeing this in action?
I got to say that trailer is. I don't normally watch trailers that often, but that trailer is one of the best trailers I've ever seen. I thought it was just amazing and like really cinematic and really cool and really sort of showed you what these games are all about. And I mean, the amount of DLC content that's going to be included. I mean, the base games alone are huge, huge games with so much to do, and the amount of DLC. I haven't played any of the DLC either, so I'm excited to jump into those. But it looks brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have wished for anything more. It's massively smashed my what I thought it was gonna be. So yeah, it looks excellent.
Nice. We got some details on what they're actually improving. So this is Mac Walters, the lead writer on the original trilogy and project director for the Legendary Edition. So the first game not only looks sharper in the Legendary Edition, but also handles better. Its creaky old user interface has been swapped for a version players will recognize from ME2 and ME3, and controls for the Mako have also been upgraded. Weapons and combat also behave more similarly to their counterparts in the other 2 games, and the famously long elevator rides on the Citadel used to hide loading screens will be significantly shorter. Shepard herself has also been upgraded. The improved default appearance for the female version of the character that BioWare designed for ME3 is now available in all 3 games. So it seems like they're handling the criticisms you had as you were playing through a couple months ago with the Mass Effect, the older games. It seems like the first one especially is getting a lot of love.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the main thing was the UI for me. It was just so terrible in the first game. So the fact that they've sort of mentioned that it shows that they knew it was a problem and it needs to be sorted. And I mean, I've seen sort of some of the screenshots and the videos, and it looks much nicer. And it's nice to know that they've put in some much needed attention to it, especially the Mako bits as well. Because I know a lot of Mako. I know a lot of people didn't like those parts. I didn't mind those parts as much, but it's good that they've sort of seen that as a common complaint as well and got that sorted.
Nice, Callum. Yeah, I'm interested in this. I don't know if I'll pick it up because I was never just a big Mass Effect fan, but this does look really
Mm.
cool. I like hearing about the improvements they've made, so it's not such a slog to try and go through and play the first Mass Effect with the UI improvements. And yeah, this is interesting. I don't know if I'll pick it up, but
Yeah,
I have no
you
excuse
you
anymore.
you
People love
gotta
these. Yeah,
you gotta try it. It's and this is kind of someone who like really didn't like them for a long time. Um, I mean, the first one isn't great. I'm sure this will be good, but the second and third game are just so amazing. There's really not many RPGs like them at all. The fact that something might happen in the first game for you that will completely affect how the third game goes. I think I've said before, I had a character die in the first game, and he was like one of the main characters in my sister's playthrough on the third game. So it's just a huge, huge RPG, massively involving and just so well done and written. So you gotta they're one of those games in like Bioshock where you just gotta play them. You have to do it.
yeah, that's the thing. I can't, present my gamer card without Mass
Can't
Effect
run
on there.
forever.
Yeah, I got to do it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. All right, Callum. So we've got some positive news for that Mass Effect Legendary Edition. This next one here is just some chaos in Tokyo with the PS5. Tokyo retailer bans all PS5 sales to suspected scalpers following chaotic scenes. This is Andy Robinson of VideoGamesChronicle.com. A major Japanese retailer has taken action after a planned PlayStation 5 restock ended in chaos last weekend. Yodobashi Camera in Tokyo's Akihabara shopping district had promised to sell several hundred PS5 consoles via first come, first served policy on Saturday. However, police were called and the whole process canceled after hundreds of consumers swamped the store, pushing staff and knocking over cash registers. Now the retailer responded by banning sales to suspected scalpers, randomizing its PS5 sales schedules, and allowing only members of its credit card plan to purchase a console. Previously, the Akihabara location was one of the few Tokyo stores that did not require credit account to purchase high-value items, which is thought to have been an influence behind last weekend's chaotic scenes. As pictured by Famitsu, Yodobashi has also put up posters informing customers that will refuse to sell to resellers, and that if a salesperson decides that the purchase is intended for resale, they will refuse to sell to that customer. Callum, this is I had some footage there posted. It's a pretty chaotic scene in Tokyo, especially a country that's well known for being quiet, polite, but don't get in front of their PS5s. Like they'll cut you. They're not messing around.
Yeah, I know the Akihabara shopping district very well from my time in Persona 5.
Mm.
So but yeah, no, you're right. It is, it's a strange thing because they are quite polite, so I've heard. Um, but I also love it when Japanese people get angry in, like, anime, so I'm hoping that there are lots of, like, uh, big, like, angry Japanese phrases being shouted. I was gonna try and do one then, but I best not.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, it's an interesting scene because it's just it's so chaotic, and I think this equally happened in the States or in the UK, but we just don't have anything set up for in
Yeah.
person lines being set up. So
We're not allowed to beat each other up anymore.
right, but yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting happening last week.
Yeah.
So Callum, this next one is also up for you. So this is rumor, more Final Fantasy 16 info coming this month. This is Chandler Wood of PlayStation Lifestyle.net. More than 140 days since it was first revealed. There's a chance we might be getting some new Final Fantasy 16 info soon. This is one of these rumors that we suggest you take with a big old grain of salt and then wash it down with a hearty glass of salt water for good measure. So business analyst Robert Serrano tweeted that new Final Fantasy 16 info alongside Final Fantasy 14 announcements is coming this month. Serrano's track record as an insider has been hit and miss. He correctly predicted and or leaked a number of the things in the lead up to the PS5 release, though he was wrong about quite a few things. Still, he's someone worth paying attention to if there's even a glimmer of hope that what he says ends up coming to pass. So how do you feel about this, Callum? Are you pretty stoked to possibly get some news this month?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm feeling optimistic about Final Fantasy 16, both in I think it's going to be great because the 7 remake was amazing, and also because the game looked pretty far along when it was shown off. So I'm hoping, I'm like hoping very naively for a release date this year, maybe end of this year, but I'm not going to hold my breath because Final Fantasy are infamous for taking years and years to come out. So I have no idea how we even got to the 16th one, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's really exciting. As you know, absolutely love Final Fantasy, and very excited to see the first ninth gen one.
Yeah, one of the things that this insider claims that they were also going to get information about Final Fantasy 14, which that released today. So this is already on track to maybe be something that's going to happen. So today they released news: Final Fantasy 14 Online is coming to PS5 later this year, starting with an open beta on April 13th, bringing significantly improved frame rates, faster load times, 4K resolution, and more. Did you ever play Final Fantasy 14 Online?
For a very short amount of time on my computer, but I've actually played it twice. Sort of started the game twice, and both times sort of got to a similar level and then stopped playing. Um, but I've been saying it's one of those games I've been saying for months and months that I really must jump into, get past the sort of level 30 when it starts to become a subscription thing. But I just never have, and I think this is a great time to do that because as much as I love playing MMOs on a PC, because obviously all the different buttons you need to press and everything, I do like the idea of lying in bed and playing it on my PS5 with all these nice improvements. So I might have to have a go, and maybe this is the time that I lose my life to it.
It's been bound to happen one day or the next.
Because that trailer as well, I don't know if you've seen it, for the new Final Fantasy 14 expansion, is an amazing trailer as well.
Mm.
Really, really cool. Makes me wanna play. I mean, it's mostly CG, but it's still, a really awesome trailer.
Gotcha. I haven't seen it. I did hear various outlets talking about how it was a CG trailer, but I
Mhm.
just with Final Fantasy in general, it's never been on my radar. So I don't know. I think this all of them will pass me up, and maybe Final Fantasy 20, I'll decide to give it a spin then. But it just
Just
never
play
really.
7. Play the 7 remake. It's
Yeah, I don't know.
best game on PS4.
I hear you, but it just never called out to me.
You'll love the dancing scene.
Okay. Interesting. Alrighty, Callum. So the next one here is PlayStation Q1 sales results. So we have the PS5 has shipped 4.5 million units worldwide as of December 31st, 2020, 47.4 million PS Plus subscribers. And also, Sony confirms PS5 hardware is selling at a loss, retail prices below manufacturing cost. I wanted to bring this up because while that's a big headline, it's nothing new. So going back into the PlayStation history, and it happens to other console manufacturers as well. But in 2000, the PS2 sold at a loss of around 150 US per unit. In 2006, the PS3 also sold at a loss for around $240 per unit US. And then 2013, the PS4 sold close to even. Its total build cost was 381 US, with advertising budget likely taking it higher to 399 total cost per unit. So this is a common thing, but I've seen people, pick it apart and talk about it online. But how do you feel about them selling at a loss again for the PS5?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that's necessary, especially with the power they have and the things, the performance that I've been getting has definitely been worth the money and more. But yeah, like you said, it's just something that people do. For, it's like with printers. Printers are a good example where they'll sell. You can buy a printer for really cheap, like you can get like a really big one for maybe £50 or whatever. But then there's the ink that
Sure.
costs a huge amount, so that's where they make up all the money. So yeah, it's nothing. I can't remember what it's called now. I'm trying to harken my mind back to when I did business at school, but that was a very long time ago now, so I can't remember. Um, a loss leader, I think, is it? So you lead by making a loss, and then you make all your money back by. I think it's that. But
Interesting.
like you said, it's nothing uh, crazy, but it's always interesting to know how much loss they're making and how they intend to make the money back.
Right, and so it's well known. It's on the internet where they, just like you said, they're making money off of accessory sales, the console revisions that eventually will happen, and just as these components get cheaper, the manufacturing costs
Mhm.
will get cheaper. But also they have PSN subscribers, and they get a cut from every sale on PSN. So there's other ways to continue to make a profit. It's not just the console
Yeah,
itself. And I think they
yeah.
probably they it was well known leading up to the PS5 that they were really waiting for Xbox to reveal that price so they could adjust it. So, I think that was
Mhm.
also in play, knowing how much it was going to cost to manufacture these things per unit. They were waiting to see what was the bare minimum they could bring it down to compete with Xbox.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Cal. We got the next one here is just more news about Embracer Group. They keep buying up these huge properties. So we got Embracer Group purchases Gearbox. Chris Moyes of Destructoid has the article. Video game holding company Embracer Group has announced some new mergers and acquisitions, purchasing Borderlands developer Gearbox Entertainment, Mac developer publisher Aspire Media, and mobile game developer EasyBrain. Of these purchases, the spotlight has fallen mostly on the acquisition of longtime independent Gearbox Entertainment, which was purchased for 600 or 363 million, with a 6-year performance target of 1.3 billion dollars. Borderlands publisher 2K Games was quick to note that the Embracer merger does not affect the relationship between 2K and Gearbox. 2K will continue to publish Borderlands sequels going forward, and given that the 6-year performance plan will definitely be seeing them. As for Gearbox as a studio, founder Randy Pitchford will continue to lead the team of 550 employees on all future projects. Callum, how do you feel about this news? So Embracer Group has a bunch of devs and publishers under their title. To jump into that real quick, we got Deca Games, which is a mobile game studio, Goat Simulator game dev, Coffee Stain Studios. They have THQ Nordic. They have Saber Interactive, who owns Metro Studio 4A, and then Coach Media, which is a German media company. And yeah, and just I'm sure there's others that I'm missing. But how do you feel about them buying up Gearbox?
Yeah, it's I think Gearbox are a weird one because I mean, as you know, I love Borderlands. I think Borderlands 3 as well was one of the best games of 2019, but all their other games just suck. There's everything else like Battleborn, which they've recently just closed down, so you can't even play it on your own anymore. Obviously, Aliens: Colonial Marines, which they never even bothered to fix. It's
Right.
a And obviously they're always in the media for bad things, or whether or not you believe sort of everything. Yeah, I don't know. It's not really one where you can say, well, Gearbox are known for making great games, so they've got themselves a good studio there. But then there is always Borderlands, which is their sort of best series and is a genuinely great game series. But yeah, it's hot and cold with Gearbox. It'll be interesting to see what they do next. But I mean, all the other acquisitions, they might get something out of them. It's going to be interesting to see over the next years because yeah, they own everybody.
They do, yeah. It's one of the things where what within the past, I'm sure they've been doing it quietly for longer, but within the past 3 years, I feel like it's been every couple of months there's another huge acquisition, and they come more and more become this well-known enterprise, of buying and absorbing these companies, and they're on par with
And
say like a,
embracing them,
yeah, sure, embracing.
embracing the companies.
They're on par with like say an Activision or another huge publisher studio that owns all these different properties within them. So I mean, they're absolutely up there, and it's just pretty nuts to now own one of the
Mm,
biggest gaming franchises around. So yeah, I don't know if it's
yeah.
good or bad. Hopefully, they can still have creative control and do what they
Mhm.
want to do to some extent. But it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it is. They are really living up to the name of their company for sure.
They're embracing that with money and control. I mean, that's how you embrace.
Yeah.
All right, Cam, we got the next one here. I know this is also near and dear to your heart. Hopefully, it's good news. We got Battlefield 6 on PS5 and Xbox Series X. Will include more players than ever. This is Adam Vajestica of TechRadar.com. EA has said that Battlefield 6 takes full advantage of the power of next generation platforms and that the game is on track for an early 2021 reveal with a release towards the end of the year. EA CEO Andrew Wilson said the Battlefield 6 will tap into the horsepower of both PS5 and Xbox Series X, which should bring massive and immersive battles to life with more players than ever. Wilson also added that Battlefield 6 will feature maps with unprecedented scale and that the next version of Battlefield takes all the destruction, player agency, and vehicle and weapon combat that franchise is known for and elevates it to another level. Calum, how does this news take you? Are you stoked? Are you worried?
I'm really excited for Battlefield 6 just because it's looking more and more like it's going to be modern. I think there isn't a modern Battlefield game that I haven't liked, so I'm hoping that that means if it's modern, it will be great. Um, I'm not one of those Battlefield fans that loves the large scale maps and the big teams. I mean, I do like those, but I always prefer to play Rush, which is their sort of medium-sized game where it uses up portions of the map and opens them up as and when. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's cool that they're going to be doing this. Obviously, it was the natural thing to do because that's what Battlefield always tries to push is the amount of players and the scale of the battles. But as long as it's modern and it's got lots of weapons and lots of attachments and like Battlefield 4 did, where it's super detailed and you can change so many things in your guns and all of that, then I'll be happy. But yeah, this is just the cherry on top, really.
Yeah, it's really interesting for this franchise because they've the past decade they were used to going neck and neck with Call of Duty. They'd always compete with each other every year, and
Hmm.
the last year, at least 2 years almost, they've allowed that ground to be gained by Call of Duty, and now Call of Duty
Yeah.
has become this absolutely massive franchise controlling that FPS shooter genre completely. So it's dope to see them finally jump back in, and I'm hoping that they use that time to really rebuild the engine and just develop something that they can now compete because the also that landscape has changed where people want these now like Fortnite style, always on versions of their multiplayer that are huge in scale that allow people to just drop in and do that style of gameplay. So are they going to also compete with that? It's interesting, and I'm excited to see them back into this area to compete with Call of Duty to give some kind of competition to keep Call of Duty on their toes because they've really controlled this world for a while. So Yeah, I'm super stoked, and also want to see that new tech that they're working on. Apparently, they're bringing some more of the destruction elements in, which I really love, and I think that's a side they should lean on because Call of Duty has nothing like that. So if they can lean into some of that destruction within the gameplay, that'd be dope.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been 8 years since we've had a modern Battlefield game, if you're not including Hardline. Um, and I mean, Battlefield 4 was just a phenomenal game, and Battlefield 1 and 5, they didn't. I mean, they still played really well and all of that, but Battlefield 1 in particular had hardly any weapons and was just a very similar to like Destruction All Stars. Just didn't feel like you were really ever progressing towards anything. There was nothing, no carrot being dangled at the end, sort of to get you through, like Call of Duty does with unlocking new weapons and prestiging and all that. So I think all they need to do is just make it simple. Just give us lots of things to unlock, make it modern, and I think that's all they need because the games play amazing. I think they play much better than Call of Duty do. I think they look much better than Call of Duty do. They sound much, but I think they're just much better games. But the last two have been a bit too. They haven't really focused on making the player really engaged with. Like you're saying, like in Fortnite, you got all the season passes, and I know they added that into Battlefield 5. It was very just half-assedly done, and they just need to. For me personally, the reason I don't play multiplayer games anymore is because it's just not simple anymore. It's not. This is your multiplayer profile. You're this rank. The more ranks you go up, the more guns you unlock. Those guns have attachments you unlock. Like that's all I want. And that's what Battlefield 4 did, and Battlefield 4 is still really popular now, and that's all they need to do again to keep it, popular.
How do you feel about them possibly nailing this year as a release? Do you think that's too soon? Do you think it gets pushed?
When did Battlefield 5 was 2018, I want to say.
I want to say,
So
yeah, I could look that up.
yeah, so I think 3 years between is about right for a Battlefield game. So yeah, I'd probably say this year. I think Dice often announce games, especially Battlefield games, a few months before they're released anyway. So yeah, I'm hoping for a great game, and I didn't really like the single player Battlefield 4 or the others, but I think that the way they focus on atmosphere, visual effects, sound effects, and everything. I think that that's another space where they could, make something good as long as they don't keep doing this war stories kind of thing that nobody really seems to care about.
Yeah, you're right that Battlefield 5 came out 2018, so it's been, yeah, a good 3 years now. Do you expect this to be cross-gen as well?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Not many people have got. Well, lots of people are struggling to get the next gen consoles. It'd be different if people were choosing not to get the next gen consoles.
Sure.
I mean, still for them, I'm sure that they would still make it cross gen for money. But the fact that people are unable to get them because of things outside sort of their own hands, like production and scalpers and all of this, it'd be just a shame to bring out such a massive game like this on the next gen console. But I have a lot of faith with, from a technical perspective, I have a lot of faith with them because these games always look fantastic, um, and I think that they'll be able to, get considering they're always made for PC as well. I think they'll be able to have a more reduced version for last gen and still really enhance the next gen versions.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to see something to that's competing with Call of Duty and just a different. I'm hoping they kind of provide a real different experience and not just borrowing a lot of those same elements and just trying to give people the same, cut and paste gameplay over here. Like I want this to be something different to compete with that
Mm.
Modern Warfare experience. So, yeah, Callum, that's it for us this week as far as the news goes. We'll end it there. Where can they find you online?
Twitter at Bear Munro is
Awesome.
is the best place.
Sweet. And you can keep up with the show as well on Twitter at Plastic Art Pod. That's it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.